I thought that Web 3.0 was a lot easier to distinguish between Web 1.0 and 2.0. I used these three images to help portray what I thought the Internet of Things was. This is before I even knew that the interconnectedness of devices had even a name for it. So I have 1984's Big Brother, and then below I have Charlize Theron. Her character was Cypher in the latest Fast and Furious, and basically she was this invincible hacker who was able to basically control everything, like cars and traffic lights, and she was just causing a bunch of mayhem.
What was interesting was that when I tried to think of how the semantic web can be integrated in my classroom, I actually had a really hard time figuring out, even just theoretically, how this can impact my classroom. And so I had to do some research online. And what was actually interesting was that a lot of the sources that I found online were helpful, but many of them were kind of in the same box as me, where it's not available, so it's really hard to imagine. So I'm just gonna pick 4 that I thought were pretty helpful. 2 of them I think were practical, and the other 2 were really freaky. So here are the practical ones. Having a microchip inside of student IDs that could help with attendance. Just, are they in school, and also are they in classes? I would love it if our school can have fobs that are where the microchips are fobs, so they can actually enter the building and we can actually monitor who's coming in and out. I think that'd be pretty cool. The teachers don't even have that. We just have a general fob. I know that at Karen, for chapel attendance, they did something like that where we would have to scan our student IDs. The other practical one was a digital highlighter, where if there's like a ebook and textbook or something, and there's something important, we can just use our finger, tap, and highlight it, and then that automatically gets transferred into a blank document or a document of your choosing. So I thought that was pretty good. Now the next 2 that were a little bit freakier was virtual reality in the classroom, and devices that could monitor brain activity and teachers can use that as objective means to monitor whether or not a student is paying attention or doing as well as they should be. So I guess the first 2 that I thought were practical goes along with 21st century skills, because it really helps sharing information, and it allows collaborative work to be done easier. So some of the cons of using the semantic web in the classroom is obviously availability and cost. So it's always really hard to try and revamp something into something completely new using new technology, and it's really expensive. It's brand new, so there's not a lot of user reviews that could be done to say this program works for this or that doesn't. You're just kind of jumping into it. Another one that I didn't really think of until I came across it in research was compatibility. With any new application or new idea, there's always a huge, like a steep learning curve, and especially with something with technology, if it's not compatible and user-friendly, it's not going to be as efficient as they claim it to be. For instance, if I have a program that I'm using in my classroom and it only works on Android devices, and most of my students have Apple, and it's not working on Apple, it's really going to be a problem, and it's going to be a huge headache in the classroom. In my opinion, another con is one that actually goes contrary to what we're supposed to be doing with teaching kids 21st century skills. So one of the 4 C's is creativity, and when everything is so streamlined and available, I'm just thinking specifically with the digital highlighter. So if kids are just able to highlight things and it's automatically imported into blank documents or a document of their choosing, I don't think that that really helps with critical thinking or with creativity. They're just importing facts that they're supposed to, quote unquote, not be memorizing just by rote memory. I think that's a little counterintuitive. I think kids have to take in information and make it their own. And sometimes, especially when I work with middle schoolers, if there's a convenience that makes it so they don't have to think about what they're doing, they're not going to take that extra step and think. Some of the pros of using the semantic web in the classroom could be convenience, obviously, if the technology is working, and if your students are already used to being critical thinkers in the classroom and things are convenient to help support that, I think more power to you. At this point in my classroom, I know that we're not all used to using all of this kind of technology, and definitely in the beginning, if we were to integrate it, it'd be quite a distraction. I did realize, though, there are some things that we do at our school that kind of reflect the connectedness of the semantic web. For instance, we have on our basic computer system, we have the ability to contact parents or let parents know if there's any kind of behavioral issue. So we have like this red flag that comes up on the student's name, and there's like an incident report that goes along with it, and we have warnings and demerits. So in that way, it's not exactly high tech, but it has the same idea where you have this instant communication, and things are connected. So a parent could get an instant notification on their cell phone if they signed up for that, saying like Sally had an incident problem at this time and it's reported by this teacher. And some of the things that were really convenient about that was that it protected the teachers. So they're always going to have a parent who's unreasonable and wants and requires all this documentation. And I think that this protected the teachers, and it really prevented from having unnecessary conferences. I know that sounds super, what's the word, negative and cynical, but that's life.